Hi, I'm Corey. Welcome to Creating with Scraps. This video is part of Cara Brandon Creations' Declutter and Get Organized 2025 challenge. And today I'm going to show how I store my linens, laces, and some paper scraps. This first system, and I have several different systems because that's what works for me, and I'm hoping that maybe one of these will work well for you. I'm going to try to zoom in as there we go, move forward. This has my cotton ends, I guess. They're like mill ends, and old spools, old wooden spools of thread. Well, there's no thread on them anymore, but the spools themselves. And some of my lace is stored on here. I just used some knitting needles that I had repurposed from a thrift store and created this wooden rack to store some of these things. And no, that's not all my lace, but I store it that way just to kind of visually mix it up a little bit for myself, so that when I'm looking for a specific kind of lace or something to go with a project, I'm kind of reminded or to revisit what I have in my craft room in a different way. Just, to look through and look at all the different things. So maybe I was looking for lace, but because I looked at that, I can look at something else instead. So maybe some trim or some of the cotton ends, kind of a thing. I have another bin here on old spools that the bin is just an enamelware bin, and some of the spools don't have a wide base. They've just got a rounded base, so they don't stand well. So I store them right here in a bin right at the end of my desk, and I can easily lift it up and around, and there's wide lace and thin lace, and intentionally different widths and lengths and styles of lace so that I can consider different options when I'm looking for lace bits. If you only have a little bit of lace, this might be or just not a big collection of lace, this might be a good option for some people because it's handy. I just pin it, I wrap it around the spools and pin it on. And almost all of these are offcuts or bits of lace that I've thrifted from yard sales and estate sales, and every once in a while, and a vintage market, I'll get some lace that way. So that is another way I store lace. I've got, like I said, a couple different methods because I want to look around and use the things I've got and just kind of revisit them and remember them. Now my linens and big laces, chunky laces, are a little bit different. I have these vintage bins, milk cartons bins and wooden crates and such. And most of the things that I store down in here are linens, old tablecloths, panel pieces of lace like that might have been part of clothing, or, curtains. I think I have some in there that are curtains. Handkerchiefs, lots of handkerchiefs. Oh, I'm sorry, I went up too much. All of these, well, okay, without moving too much, I'll pull it out. This is a milk crate. And there's some flat lace, there's some doily in here, there's some old linen. This is still written on there. Just all kinds of a tag, just all kinds of things that I've stored that way. And I can just pull out a bin and look through it, thumb through it as I need it. This particular bag is one that I brought. Whoops, here we go. Sorry about that. This is one that's just kind of on-the-go bag. So if I'm crafting or going to a friend's or visiting someone, I can just pull that one bag. And again, there's a variety of lace bits in there so that hopefully what I need will be included in that, I guess. And old quilts, I guess I could, I use quilt scraps or cutter quilts for journal covers, and I just store them like this, so that I can see the colors I've got, and if I need a particular pattern, style, of color, I can just pull that up. The majority of my lace is stored on, this is a bookcase that was, flat to the ground bookcase. I purchased some feet on Amazon and screwed those into the base because that's where my floorboard heater is, and that allowed it to lift up enough to put the bookcase over the heater without causing any issues. So I often find, usually at antique malls for those, I find these things. I found several in Shipshawana at their auction. I got a lot of, maybe like, 30 or something for an incredibly low price. So I wrap the lace bits on that and store them that way. That's directly behind my work area. And then I'm coming around over to my desk. Sorry, I'm trying to go slow so I don't make anybody sick to their stomach. And this is the desk, the lace that I keep directly on my desk. I've got an enamelware bin right here. And when I have just a tiny, tiny bit of lace left, this is where I toss it. And now sometimes this is a little bit bigger. I had used it for a project and there was, you know, maybe a yard left, not even a yard, half a yard, or a quarter of a yard left. So I put it in here. But a lot of times these are just tiny bits that have already been cut up. And I use those a lot, especially when I'm making clusters or bases or just random items if I need just a tiny little bit. And I keep that right on my desk because I use lace frequently. I just put it up on my shelf. And then I've got this a little bit bigger bin, and that has a bigger variety of things in it. Like those, I guess they're machine crocheted pieces. I can use those for pockets. And I try to reach for this bin first if I need something a little bit bigger or larger, only because it's right next to me. So I'll reach for that first. If I don't find what I want, which doesn't happen very often, I'll go to one of the other bins. And then as I use this bin, I'll restock it with things from the other places, the other bins especially, excuse me. But the lace, anytime I need a bit of lace, you can see that first bin that I shared is right next to my desk. Right next to my work surface, I guess, on the very front of my desk. And if I need to, I can just flip through that in, a matter of seconds. And then the bigger one, is directly behind. So if I spin around, sorry if I'm making you sick, I apologize. It's right behind me, so I can easily access it that way. And then the last thing I wanted to address is my paper storage. Not necessarily my paper storage, but my scrap paper storage. Most of my paper, I recently, I don't know, maybe 5-6 months ago, purchased a tax preparer shop was going out of business, and they had that on Facebook Marketplace for a really reasonable price. So I took it home, I cleaned it with some simple green, and then I spray painted it black to go with everything else in the room so that the woods all kind of coordinate, and it allows the antiques to stand out. So that's where I store most of my solid paper or full paper. And I had that other one up there previously. Sorry for the light. And that works really well for me. Plus, it gives me some storage room at the bottom for some cigar boxes and some totes for jewelry findings and that type of thing. So that's full paper storage. But my scrap paper, because I use scraps probably 95% or so of the time, I created, when I was putting this unit together, I created shelving specifically designed for scraps. Now, I originally had plastic trays in there, and they worked great. And then I used tin pans, baking pans. And I liked it, but I didn't love it. And then I found these enamelware pans, and so I've been slowly collecting them. And I sort it in a way that makes sense to me. Now, I love to make clusters. So this is a lot of long, thin, little itty-bitty scraps of all different kinds. And oh, here you go. That doesn't even belong there. That is what I use for clusters mostly. And then the rest of it I have sorted, again, in a way that makes sense to me. Now, sometimes like here, this doesn't belong there. That goes in another bin. But when I'm just tossing things back in, when I'm creating or pulling something out, they get put in the wrong spot. It's an easy fix. This is all neutral colored cardstock. No patterned papers or anything in there, but it's... no, sorry, I was wrong. This is the thinner paper, the stuff that I use to back tags and if I'm, building something that needs thin paper, basically. Thin, solid paper. And then up here is the cardstock, the thicker paper if I need a base or something like that. Directly above that is thin patterned paper, like maybe if there's a scrap of a digital or something, that's in that bin. And then this one is Tyvek envelopes. Anything that's an envelope, like junk mail envelopes and such, I put those in there. Over here, I have book page. And sometimes when I'll disassemble a book, I'll put the entire set of pages in here. And so but a lot of times there's like 1 or 2 random loose pages, and that's mostly what this is. And then this bin is often lined book page, so ledger, notebook paper, things like that. I use that a lot when I'm creating notepads. So that is what is in here. And this last bin, it used to have not wild, that's not the right word, more textured and that kind of paper. So if it was mulberry paper or rice paper or mesh paper or that type of thing, I kept it here. But I found that I didn't use that an awful lot except for in my clusters, so they got ripped down. This is where I put my completed pieces. So when I'm sitting and creating and I'm doing something with scraps, especially if I only have a little bit of time, I will toss my makes in here so that I don't have to stop and put them away in their permanent homes. And then when this bin gets full, I'll just go transfer it to the categories I have my ephemera pieces basically stored in. And that works really well for me to create a clutter-free desk surface because I've got a place to put them when I'm done with them. Okay, again, I'll try to go slow. My last bit of scrap paper, and I'm always on the hunt, but I need a new enamelware pan, a little bit bigger pan for this, is when I'm right in the midst of creating, rather than take the time to put things away and sort them, I'll toss them right here in a bin so that I don't have paper all over my desk that I have to clean up. I just toss it straight in this bin. So the Life Simplified journal that I'm making, that's some leftover from that. This is leftover from Life Simplified. So when I'm creating, I can pull this first, knowing that it's in the same spot. And then when I'm all done, I can either make ephemera bits, or I can, when I'm all done with the journal, I can make ephemera bits, or I can just put the paper into the scrap bins that they go into. And that takes literally a couple minutes. But a lot of times it's kind of fun to challenge myself. Okay, this is what I've got. And I'll put in my work in progress pieces here. Like that's something that's going in the next journal. So I've been working on it, but it's not ready to go in the journal yet. So I'll toss it right here. And that makes my cleanup super simple, and I never have to spend more than a couple minutes, you know, putting things away when I'm done with a project. So, and that's on the bookcase that's right next to my desk. And that is the Life Simplified journal I'm working on. So the ledger that I need and that, I've got it right here. I don't have to leave it on my desk. So if I need to do something else, I can, but it's right at hand so that when I'm ready to work on that a little bit more or complete it, it's right there. Looks like I have a bin. Oh, I know what it was. This bin, I got a big, huge spool of lace. I mean, huge for nothing, like $1 at, I don't remember, maybe it was $5, whatever it was, at an estate sale. And I sorted it into different cards. And this is another, and then the reason I'm showing you this is another common, popular, easy way to store lace bits. Just get offcuts of card or chipboard and then wrap it and stick a pin in it. You can see there was a couple different pieces there, but I had a whole bunch of it. And I didn't want to leave it on one ginormous roll. And then I can share this. If I'm tossing something in the mail to a friend, I will throw one of these bits of lace card in there with them too. So that's another option that might work for you in your lace storage. There are endless options, but those are things that I have found, work really well for me. And it keeps the lace that I love visible so I can see it, but it also puts it away so that it's not, right in front of me and on top of my desk. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them below and I'll do my best to answer them quickly. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you're all enjoying the decluttering process. I know Kara's room is looking absolutely fantastic, and I've seen progress on others as well. So hopefully you're enjoying that process if it's something you need to do. Take care and happy creating.